Half-time in the final and deciding ODI between India and Australia, the Firozshah Kotla in Delhi. Australia won the toss and have managed to put some significant runs on the scoreboard. 272 for 9 is where they've ended. They started well, did Australia, with Usman Khawaja and Aaron Finch. Partnership of 76 up top, then another 99 between Khawaja and Peter Hanscom. You could say they lost their way just a little bit, but a more than handy cameo by Jai Richardson and Pat Cummins means that India have the runs to get. They have Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Ravindra Jadeja to thank for that middle order collapse. And here we are now on Maruti Suzuki presents ESPN Cricinfo Matchday to figure out whether these runs are enough, and also to figure out where David Warner and Steve Smith will fit now that Usman Khawaja has 2 international hundreds to his name. Brad Hodge is here, so too is Deep Das Gupta. Let's start with you, Hodge. Are you happy with those runs?
Yeah, I am actually. I think that anything above 250 is going to be challenging on this wicket, especially if the dew factor doesn't come into play, which looking like cloudy conditions, it might not. So the pitch looks particularly dry, a little bit slow. Typical Delhi wicket. So runs on the board I think will be crucial, and the top order, especially Rohit and Shikhar at the top and Virat, are very important for this run chase.
At 175 for 1 in 32 overs, we're thinking Australia is going to get well over 300 or could get over 300. What sort of pitch is this? Would India be happy with 270, or would they have told themselves when they got those wickets in the middle that we could seal this game now and have no more than 240, 250 to chase?
Yeah, I guess 270, 272 is maybe 10, 15 above par, as Hodge mentioned. 250, anything above 250 is going to be challenging on this surface. But then again, it boils down to the first 20, 25 overs. If you look at the way the Australian innings also went ahead, it was the first 20, 25 overs.
Yeah.
And ever since the ball got a little older and Jadeja started getting turned, the way he got Finch out, that just tells you about how this surface has behaved. But having said that, under lights, obviously there'll be 7 minutes of rolling between innings, and then the lights will come on, and it gets a little coolish in the evening in Delhi. That might just settle the upper layer of the surface a bit. So first 20, 30 overs is going to be very, very crucial. The start and the top 3 batsmen.
Okay, now we know that story. It's a familiar one, India's top 3. But Australia's top batsmen now seem to be firing. Usman Khawaja came into this series, Haji, in 21 ODIs without an ODI ton. He goes back now with significant scores in every game, including 200s. This might be the biggest takeaway for Australia from this series.
Yeah, it just goes to show the quality of Usman Khawaja. He was probably underperformed the fraction in the Test series in Australia. Gets an opportunity now in Indian conditions where he was questionable a few times going to the UAE against Pakistan, but he's come out firing. I mean, look at those numbers today, just to cap off another century to back up Mahali. He's been a tremendous find for Australia, and will certainly pose a few questions for the selectors on the return of David Warner, because his form has been outstanding. And just the manipulation of the ball, running between the wickets and stroke play, rotation to strike, but more importantly, carrying on through those middle overs where it's been particularly tough with the Australian batsmen in past history.
That's before we even get to the whole selection, the pleasant selection conundrum for Australia selectors. He looks the part. There's no apparent or obvious weakness for Khawaja. Loves his reverse sweeps, plays the spin reasonably well too. ODI batsman for you now for the immediate future at least?
Absolutely, yes. As you mentioned, I mean, he plays the spin well, he plays the fast bowling really well as well. Predominantly, the issue with Khawaja of late was like, you try and pitch it up to him because he doesn't get onto the front foot as often. But off late, if you look at it, I mean, he's doing all right with anything that's pitched up as well. So, as you mentioned, no obvious weaknesses. And, I mean, scoring runs is an habit, as Hodgie will tell you. I mean, once you get into that form and you start scoring hundreds, and suddenly that gate opens up and you get used to scoring hundreds. And this is like getting 200s in 2 games. Means a lot. I mean, it's a huge thing as far as Khawaja is concerned, and his chances for World Cup.
383 runs against, you could say, one of the toughest oppositions in one-day cricket at home would bode well for Usman Khawaja. And those 383 runs are also the most runs by a batsman in an ODI series against India. We're looking at 5 matches maximum. And it's good company he keeps. Kane Williamson, AB de Villiers and Gordon Greenidge, and Tilakratne Dilshan in his pomp. So, well done to Usman Khawaja. So, let me ask you the question, Haji, that you wouldn't want to be asked as a selector. What do you do once David Warner is back, assuming fit and assuming ready to be inducted the next game, whether it happens against New Zealand, where all of them will be available, or if it's a World Cup game? How do you fit that top order?
Well, you probably have to fit the three of them into the top three, don't you? I mean, maybe that's a indication of what's happened to Sean Marsh just in today's game. That David Warner will come back in and fit into that top three somehow. Maybe Finch can move to number three, or even Usman can bat at number three, or David can limp back into number three. So, look, there's plenty of options. The upside for Australia is that you've got three very skillful players, probably our best players, along with Smith and Hanscom, to be able to get the job done in a World Cup. So, lots of positives for the Australian team, and well done to Usman Khawaja, being up with those particular players around the world. Those names is tremendous. So a marvellous individual performance.
What it might also do is just reduce a little bit of pressure off David Warner, who maybe a month back the narrative was that he's got to get runs as soon as he comes back to arrest this huge issue that Australia have at the top of the order. Somehow this almost makes his return that much easier, if I can say that.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're still recovering from elbow injuries, both Smith and Warner. So, look, I would have liked to have seen them now try and slot back into this side with a couple of games leading into the World Cup, but that looks unlikely in the next tour. So, look, it's going to be a mad rush for form. They'll have to certainly find some good form in the IPL, because the way it's settled, the Australian batting unit is getting up towards good quality totals, and with our bowling attack, certainly feel that we're in the game.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Ajay, we've organised this 2-month T20 tournament for your boys to get back into form. That should be just fine. Let's speak of India's bowling. That almost needed Ravindra Jadeja on this pitch, given Kuldeep Yadav didn't have the best day, and in spite of the three seamers, and we thought this would be a pace attack, Jadeja, in an important game, may have left a slight impression, Deep Dasgupta.
Yes, absolutely, and this surface also kind of suits his kind of bowling. I mean, help for the spinners and kind of pace that he bowls with obviously helped him. But importantly, he got those couple of wickets, got the breakthrough, and the way he got them was very impressive. Again, I mean, listen, everything is. We keep going back to World Cup and the 15 and all, and obviously a good reminder for the selectors. He's still around. He's still around.
It's a cruel game. Sean Marsh doesn't get runs in a couple of games. All of a sudden now he may not find room in the 11. I still hope he finds a spot in the World Cup squad. Here you have Jadeja, who we weren't sure if he's going to be part of the setup. Hardik Pandya gets injured. He comes into the squad. In a key game, Kohli decides, because the series is 2-2, maybe if the series is different, he may not have got a game. And just the sort of pitch that maybe Jadeja would have wanted.
Exactly. I mean, that's true. The other thing, I don't know whether you've noticed on it, today was like a boxing bout between Shami and Bhuvneshwar.
Okay.
They both started with the new ball. They both bowled almost the same duration during the middle overs, and both bowled in the death. So obviously, if Virat is thinking if I have to pick one between them, this would be the game, and you put them together and say similar situations and see who comes up trumps.
And they've gone 5 wickets between them, while Bumrah's gone wicketless.
Exactly. So there are a lot of interesting things happening, and a lot of stuff happening in that game.
The best of Jadeja is when the pitch is giving him a little bit of assistance. With full respect to the player that he is, Haji, but that wicket of Aaron Finch. Probably is one of the few moments you'll find an orthodox finger spinner in white ball cricket really test a top order batsman. We all have this argument of the value of finger spinners. Now, from what you've seen, Jadeja, is he done enough? Has he left an impression in just the right match for you to say, all right, this guy should still be part of the World Cup squad?
Yeah, I think he has. I think he's done enough. The good thing is you can see his versatility, and that's with the ball. And not only with the ball, he probably gives you 10 to 15 runs saved in the field as well, and creates runouts and opportunities. So it's pretty much the whole package that he can give you. There will be certain grounds in England which will suit left-arm orthodox spin. They have been very successful. So it's just when that wicket holds, he's so much better bowling to right-handers than he is left-handers. That's just the way he rolls. So if he can get that run on where matchups seem to be a lot of right-hand batters in sides, he'll certainly be damaging.
Yeah, and talking about the combination, if actually Virat and the team management thinking of playing all three seamers, then playing Jadeja becomes imperative. Then you're not kind of weakening your batting side. So that way also, I mean, if you look at it and say, listen, this is an option, three seamers, then Jadeja has to be part of the 15. But the trick here is, who all? I mean, what are the game plans that you have? What are the combinations that you're thinking? Because as I mentioned before, there are quite a few game plans that is visible, but you got to be very, very clear in your mind. What are you looking for?
Quick last question. Is he any better a bowler than what he was 2 years back from the Champions Trophy? Because we had a good
Yeah.
Champions Trophy in 2013, not a very good one. That's when
Yeah.
India went with the spin. Is he coming back just because of the kind of player India are looking for? Or is he coming back because he's a better bowler?
No, I think it's the same bowler.
Right.
He was the same bowler before this game.
Yeah.
He hasn't changed because he's picked a couple of wickets. I mean, nothing has changed. He's still the same bowler. It's just that you had Kuldeep and Chahal doing much better than the finger spinners. That's the reason they lost their places in the side. But again, moving forward, if that's how, because as Haji mentioned, he brings a lot to the table. I mean, it's not just his bowling, his batting abilities, his fielding. So yeah, that'll be an interesting call there.
Okay, Jadeja would hope he can take this Firozshah Kotla pitch with him to the World Cup if given the option. But he wasn't the only man to pull things back. He did provide the key breakthrough of Aaron Finch and then the big one of Glenn Maxwell very quickly to put a dent into Brad Hodge's Fab 4 prospects, but we'll get to that later. India's bowlers all round have pulled things back. So well done to Mohammad Shami and Bhuvneshwar Kumar too. And I'll come to the point that you were making, this little internal bout. Were you pleasantly surprised that they got the new ball? Maybe it was perhaps to test them
I
at
think
similar
it
stages.
was designed
Yeah.
that way. I was surprised because obviously you have Finch who had obvious issues with the ball coming back into him and Bumrah not bowling. Then I was thinking about it, what could be the reason? I was like, and then when the middle overs came in and both of them started bowling almost the same time, I was like, listen, there's something happening here. I believe Virat is trying to see if that situation arises where he has to choose between Bumrah and Bhuvi. Between Bhuvi and Shami. So what would be his choice like?
And it's not like they've given him much to
exactly.
to split it between them, Haji. Bhuvi comes back and picks up Usman Khawaja. Shami gets Peter Hanscom. Then Bhuvneshwar gets Marcus Stoinis before he tees off. Shami gets Alex Carey. They've both gone. Shami's gone at 6 and over, 6.33. Bhuvneshwar at 4.8. But if you just collectively analyze the way the two of them bowled, just thoughts?
Oh, much the same, aren't they? In fact, it was only really the reverse swing that came into play, which probably saved both of them for the day, actually. They were both travelling a little bit, and just a little bit of reverse swing. Mohammad Shami seems to just get a little bit more than Bhuvi. But, just the quality bowling when they come back, put some pressure on, break a wicket. I think that's the good thing about having three, genuine quicks in your artillery, where things are going poor. You can bring them back and you're going to get a good result, whether it be a fifth or sixth bowler. So, that's the benefit of it. It was a good old-fashioned shootout and it was good to see. Surprising that Bumrah didn't take it, but now you can see the logic in it, as Deep pointed out. It was cool to watch.
Yeah, Ajit often says that sometimes the other bowlers do all the hard work and then somebody else gets the wickets. I don't know which category he associates himself in, but Bumrah 8 overs for 14 on a day where people are going at sixes for fun or the batsmen are just hitting for fun, comes back and gets hit for 19 by the number 8 and number 9. Which I guess is the cruelty of the game, but let's take nothing away from Bumrah. Wicketless and 25 of his last two, but 8 overs for 14 on. It's just remarkable. He just quietly goes about doing brilliant things.
I mean, he's the number one bowler as far as I'm concerned across all three formats. And one over does not change anything, or even one match or two matches will not change how I look at Bumrah and what I think of him. So just one over changed everything else. It also kind of changed my point situation, just might have, I don't know. But I was rooting for him to pick up a few wickets there.
Yeah, didn't happen. But somewhere there is maybe a little bit of, not for just from the Australian batsmen, Haji, but batsmen the world over are seeing numbers 8 and 9 just play normal shots to Bumrah and get him away for runs.
I think it was an anomaly, really. I don't think you'll see it happen too often at all. This guy is the best in the world by a long, long way. I think he's certainly taken the mantle of the best white ball bowler behind Lasith Malinga, who probably held the mantle for 5 to 10 years. He's a true competitor, spirited individual with just immense skill. So I wouldn't take it to heart that 9 and 10 smack you around for one over. It can happen to anyone.
Yeah, 4 of those were his own contribution when he hit the stumps and it ricocheted for 4 past the keeper. Now, will Australia be able to defend this score of 272? We've seen a little bit of reverse, like Haji points out. And from what we've seen of Jadeja get on this pitch, Haji, would you be excited if you were an Adam Zampa or a Nathan Lyon? Are you expecting Australia spinners to play a big part?
Yeah, I am. I'm really excited. I think Zampa will be really tough work on this if conditions remain the same. I think Nathan Lyon will be pretty hard. I hope he's watched Ravinder Jadeja and just gets the speed on the ball a little bit, just darts the ball into the wicket, let the wicket do the work for him. But also Jai Richardson, I think, stump to stump, hitting the top of the stumps, challenging LBWs and bowls. I think this is a real good total for Australia. I think they should get the job done if they bowl well.
You said very early when we were watching the first innings that you would be very pleased if you were Adam Zampa, just seeing what this pitch is doing.
Absolutely, because Adam Zampa is very similar to Jadeja, the pace with which he bowls. He's not a big turner.
Quick,
He's quick, he's very disciplined. So I think he's going to enjoy this surface, bowling on this surface. But I can also see this pitch behaving a little better. Under lights, as I mentioned, and they'll be rolling and everything else. But again, a lot would depend on the first 15.
So that would be perhaps make life easier, perhaps for the openers. You do see Adam Zampa playing a big role. Or
I do see that.
Okay.
I do see that. Again, it's not going to be easy playing Adam Zampa, like I said, because again, his variations are very subtle. So he's not a big turner. But on a surface like this, if somebody's bowling at 88, 90 k's an hour and it just moves 6 inches, that's enough.
It's a cloudy day in Delhi. Would that play into anything to do with dew? Would it
I mean, generally, if it's windy and it's overcast and cloudy, generally you don't have as much dew. So I don't see there'll be too much of dew today.
Okay. Who takes the new? I think the new ball decisions taken for themselves. Just the two seamers. Is it the sort of pitch that a Marcus Stoinis might be handy to? Haji, he's been in this team for both. Would he come in to the picture more? He's not had a lot of bowling in this series.
No, he hasn't, and he'll have to. He'll have to take some workload off, and I think you'll see him bowl a lot of cutters on this wicket. But he's quite skillful at changing the pace up, bowling to three men back on the leg side, forcing a big shot. He also can bowl a pretty heavy ball if he wants to. So he's quite smart in his analysis of the wicket, and he adjusts his bowling accordingly. So some nice variables for Aaron Finch to work with tonight. I think he'll be quietly confident that his bowling unit can get the job done. But I think it's vitally important that this new ball, you'll see two halves. You'll see 25 overs, the ball coming onto the bat, nice, and then you'll see a real scrap for the second half. So I think it'll be a pretty close contest.
Vijay Shankar at 4 for you. If things just go normally and you don't have to go according to the situation, he's your number 4.
Yeah, he'll be my number 4.
Okay, let's have a quick look at how the Fab Four stand for Deep Das Gupta to start with. He was very pleased when Peter Hanscom got to 50 and he was watching this game with a lot of personal interest. So Deep had picked Peter Hanscom from the Australia side of things. He'd also picked Jasprit Bumrah, and those aren't too many points that Bumrah have got him. 62 points for Hanscom and 15
I thought
points.
you said the best economy rate gets some bonus.
I think we have to wait to the end of the match, so it won't be per inning. So if anyone goes at less than what's Bumrah gone for, 3.9. So that's hard work to get right. How's Brad Hodge done? I think people like his chances after seeing how Hodge has done so far. There you go. 27, Aaron Finch, 1, Glenn Maxwell, 15, Pat Cummins, and 25, Virat Kohli. So Virat Kohli essentially will cancel you guys out. As to will, I think you've gone for Pat Cummins as well, haven't you?
Yes.
So I think this is going to be a close game. Haji, you happy with what you've picked?
Yeah, I am backing Maxwell to get 7 for.
5 for 6
Actually,
for Glenn Maxwell.
I must say, my performances have very much been like the Australian captain. Look good, but generally hasn't yielded any results.
All right, prediction, Brad Hodge. Are you expecting Australia to defend this?
I think they will. I think this will be a monumental victory for the Australian team.
All right, in which case it'll make for a fun chat at 3 a.m. with Brad Hodge. So we will have that conversation when it happens. Deep Das Gupta, are you expecting India to chase this down? Virat Kohli obviously enjoys these sort of situations.
Yeah, I think top 3, not just Virat. I think the top 3 will have to play a very, very important role here. And obviously it's going to be close. We'll go to the wire, but I think India's going to do it.
You're fancying a 50 ball 80 from Rishabh Pant at his home ground to win it and secure his boarding pass for the World Cup.
50 ball 80, that would mean your top 3 hasn't done their job. So I wouldn't expect that. I would rather have my top 3 get those runs.
Very well. So Deep is backing India, Brad Hodge is backing Australia. It's level pegged 2-2 and Australia have the runs on the board. It's a fascinating final 50 overs of cricket on this Australia tour of India. We will analyse all of it depending on how this result goes, as well as look ahead to what these teams have learned from this series and what they can take forward into the World Cup on Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricinfo Matchday.